I gotta say, my expectations for the Zion 2 were admittedly low. Coming from the Zion 1, personally never played in them, but just from an observation, they didn't seem like a shoe that was fit for a generational talent like Zion. You know, I mentioned that in the hands-on that shoe was just kind of underwhelming and was just on the cheaper side. And I know there's a hierarchy of shoes when it comes to the signature athletes like LeBron, KD, Kyrie, and Paul George, etc., and Giannis. But, you know, when it came to the Zion, I had high expectations because in my head, maybe one day they see Zion replacing LeBron as that face of the brand when he inevitably retires. Now, maybe I'm going on out on a limb and saying that, or maybe it's a bit of a stretch, but I think, you know, there's has to be some kind of a strategy for the future. You can't just depend on one signature line keeping that, you know, that flagship mentality. You know, the LeBron series is always a shoe that debuts new technologies, it debuts new looks, and just kind of pushes the envelope and pushes the state of the art forward. Getting things started with the fit, I will say that these fit really, really well. Now, I want to say that I went a half size up with this particular shoe, the Zion 2. I didn't want to go true to size because Jordan Brand has a tendency to run a little bit short, run a little bit narrow, and causes some discomfort for my foot, especially if I'm planning to play for a few hours. And I will say that after about 3 hours of basketball in this shoe, with the laces tied as tight as I could get them, with the strap tightened as much as I could get it, there were no real issues, and I think the issues I did experience were normal issues after so many hours of basketball. At the end, I had some pinching in my foot, more so in my toes, and I think it's just, again, from playing basketball for hours and hours. But overall, I think the fit was very, very good. So in terms of a recommendation, I would recommend going a half size up. Moving on into the cushioning. The cushioning was one thing I was very, very curious about because I mentioned in the hands-on that these were very reminiscent in terms of a LeBron. The cushioning setup in general, like you have max air in the heel and you have forefoot zoom, and just about a lot of the LeBrons, maybe the last few versions of the LeBron series have come with some iteration of that with forefoot in the forefoot, zoom in the forefoot, and they have max air in the heel. But these were all encapsulated zoom air and encapsulated heel air or max air, and I will say that they were very noticeable. I don't know how else to put it. It was very noticeable. It was just like very bouncy, very plush, and reminded me of the LeBron series. But I think there's a little bit more court feel in this particular shoe versus the LeBron series, which gets you high off the ground, but provides a lot of cushioning, a lot of impact protection. These have a good combination of impact protection and cushioning, very plush without being too squishy, and then they're firm enough without being too firm where you feel everything. But overall, I think if you're getting this shoe and you're looking for decent impact protection, I think you're going to be very happy with these. I think if you're a guard looking for a good shoe as well, where you need a little bit more court feel, I think these would do the job as well. If you're looking for something really low to the ground where you really feel everything on the court, you may want to go for the PG series or the Giannis series or Kyrie, where the cushioning or the foams that they use and the zoom air is a little bit lower volume, but intended to give you more court feel. Traction was what I would say, not amazing, but not bad. I was playing on a very clean court, so I can't say that these really ate up the dust and provided the traction that you need. But I also didn't notice any slippage or anything like that while I was playing. So I guess if you don't notice the traction, or you don't notice if it's bad or good, I guess it's doing its job. And maybe that's not an answer for people who are asking, but I will confidently say that on an asphalt court or if you're playing on the street, these are going to be fantastic. I don't see any issues whatsoever. The rubber is pretty hard. You can listen to it, and it doesn't seem like it's something that's going to break off or anything like that. Even on this shoe or on this particular pair that I played in, you don't really notice any wear or tear on the grooves or anything like that. But the traction was, unnoticeable, so I guess it did its job. Now, of all the things that I've talked about with this shoe in terms of what's good, what it has going on, that it's a really good benefit to the player or the owner of the shoe, is there's just one downside, and I want to say it's the ventilation. The ventilation, as you can tell, there's no real ventilation holes or ventilation built into the shoe itself or on the upper. You know, if you have sweaty feet like I do, your feet are just going to be baking, especially if you're playing outdoors in the middle of the summer like it is today, where I am absolutely roasting in this room. It's about 100 degrees in Philadelphia. And if you haven't noticed, I'm sweating. I'm trying my best to wipe the sweat off so it's not gross, but I do apologize. Either way, getting back to the shoe, I will say that ventilation isn't its strong suit, but I will say that, you know, just kind of anticipate that happening. You know, your socks are going to be soaked if you're a sweaty player. If you're not, and if you don't mind getting your feet really, really warm, it is what it is. But overall, that's something that I did notice is the ventilation, and especially playing in the summer, you're going to probably have some issues with your feet baking. One other minor quibble that I had was the tongue. I did mention how clumsy the tongue was on the hands-on. With this voodoo aesthetic that they have on this shoe, it really does play or tell a good story, a really cool story, because me being a huge fan of New Orleans, the city, the culture, the people, I've been there many times. It's one of my favorite places in the world, and to see the voodoo colorway and the voodoo aesthetic coming to the shoe was really exciting. So I'm happy that they did the shoe justice by incorporating a lot of the city's quirks and, you know, all that fun stuff. But on this shoe particularly, the tongue, it was just super clumsy. There's no Velcro, or I'm sorry, the elastic straps that keep the tongue in place. So you have a tongue that's just really shifting everywhere. When I tied them up all the way, I wish I took a picture of it, but when I tied the shoe up, you know, as tight as I could get it, the tongue never really fit perfectly on my foot. Now, you can ask yourself, does that affect the performance? No, but it's really annoying because it's getting, you know, crunched up and moving all over the place, and, you know, just really looks silly. But, you know, maybe on the Zion 3, if it's an iterative model versus a complete redesign, maybe they'll throw those elastic straps on the inside. Like you can see, there's nothing in there. So if they throw the elastic straps in there, maybe, you know, you'll have better luck at containing that tongue. But overall, it's a clumsy tongue. Doesn't affect performance, but is really, really annoying. In terms of value, I think this shoe is an excellent value. At $120 and $140 retail, I think you get a lot for your money. You get very good materials on the upper, especially on this voodoo colorway. You get that, you know, canvas material. You get that, you know, faux suede and faux leathers. You get that storytelling element. You get, you know, just a whole package. And even the retail packaging, they do just an excellent job with this. But at $120, $140, I think it's an easy buy for me. I would buy them again if I had the opportunity. And I plan on buying multiple pairs when they come out in different colorways, just because I really enjoyed playing them. When LeBron's come out, I'm a big fan of the LeBron series. When they come out, I generally plan on buying several pairs of each series. Why? Because it's just a shoe I like. It fits my foot well, I play well in them, and I have fun in them. This particular shoe, if you're on the fence about buying them, you're trying to decide whether or not you should, I think you should. I think you should get them. If they go on sale, which inevitably they will, not saying that they're a bad shoe, I just know that most Nike products end up going on sale at some point, unless it's a hype release. I would say, or I would highly recommend getting a pair, whether it's $65, $70, or $80, get them. And even at full price, I think they're still a solid buy at $120 or $140. To wrap this video up, I just want to say that this shoe has been fun to play in. I would highly recommend considering these if you haven't. If you've already gotten a pair, let me know your thoughts. Leave a comment. If there's something you want to know about the shoe or anything that I missed or any comments or suggestions, please let me know. This was a fun process for this particular show. I was very excited to record this. But either way, if you really liked this video, like it. If you didn't like it, dislike it. But if you really, really liked it, hit that subscribe button. Thank you so much for watching. You all have a good day.